frog in my throat, sorry. So I'm going to be reading my autobiography, and it's off to the side of my computer in a sticky note, so if my eyes go from here to here, that's why. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I also have with me a couple awesome relics I just found. Okay, so here we go. Writing discovered me, not the other way around. Junior year of high school was the year that it happened, and its catalyst goes by the name of Sally Bean. Interestingly enough, she's not an English teacher, but an art teacher and a ski coach. That's Sally. That's me. That's Mount Abram High School. Up until Sally Bean walked into my junior English class, I was a haphazard writer. Grammatically, I was quite skilled, but it was based on years of reading quality literature and listening to, moving my screen here, educated faculty members speak. Had someone asked me about the rules behind the grammar, I would have shrugged my shoulders, smiled, and stated, I just check the sentence in my head to see if it sounds right. Sally Bean was placed in our junior English class because our brilliant but soft English teacher, Mr. Yamashiro, could not handle the level of misbehavior that my classmates quite literally threw at him. When April break was over, Mr. Yamashiro was no longer employed by Mount Abram, and Sally Bean had been appointed as his replacement. She stood in front of our class announcing, "Journals. That's what you'll be doing in English class. Writing whatever you want to write about, not focusing on grammar, not focusing on mechanics, but merely writing what's in your minds." Had I not already known Sally Bean as a wonderful teacher and ski coach, I would have balked at the unorthodoxy of it all. In my mind, English class was for endless drills of grammar, mechanics, usage, and vocabulary definitions. The concept of writing for writing's sake struck me as almost criminal. I was simultaneously appalled and titillated. That first journal was a standard black and white speckled composition notebook. I'm not entirely sure where it is right now, and that fact saddens me. Junior year ended, but my love affair with journaling did not. The ritual surrounding my journaling life has sometimes verged on eccentric. I prefer plain paper pages of high quality. Pen choice can be a make or break decision. Hardcover is absolutely my preference. German stationery stores are where I have consistently found the best books and pens. Spiral notebooks are to my writing what nails on a chalkboard are to elementary teachers. Horror. I have journaled during the most intense parts of my life, excuse me, but have found the mundane aspects of life too dull to write about. I have journaled in some fascinating places, in subways, in airports, on the lawn of the Sacré-Cœur in Paris, at numerous Grateful Dead concerts, at Bulldog camps, 10 miles from the nearest paved road, as well as in typical places. My journal is near me at all times, mostly because of the possibility it offers to me. Journaling is wonderful for self-expression and exposition. Until entering Mr. Hardy's class senior year, I hadn't yet tested myself as a summary analysis, synthesis, or argument writer. Stuart Hardy exudes passion for lit and the writing process. He is a logophiliac of the first order. He is, quite simply, my English teaching role model. While Sally began the process of allowing my writing to discover itself in me through self-expression, Stuart began the process of formalizing my writing. Mr. Hardy's senior English class was comprised of reading and analyzing quality literature. Just a minute, I have a prop. Brave New World analysis as to its being satire. Anyway, sorry. Learning vocabulary, reading Common Time magazine articles that we later summarized during our weekly Friday exams that combined all three of these elements. Every week for 40 weeks. It was the best preparation I could have had for the work I did at Wells College. Mount Abram did not offer advanced placement classes, a fact that both infuriated and worried me during the ramp-up to matriculating at Wells. In August of 1986, I sat in the Cleveland Building Foreign Language Lab, pencil in hand, taking 3 placement exams, English, German, and French. At the time, I felt certain that I would be placed into a remedial English class, maybe even non-credit, because I had attended a small high school in a poor community. My classmates had gone to huge high schools in affluent communities. They had been offered every advanced placement course available in 1986. I was, in my own estimation, an intellectual bumpkin. When I arrived in my advisor's office the next day to finalize my freshman fall schedule, I anticipated that I would be signing up for English 101 and possibly also assigned a tutor. Instead, she looked at me and stated, "Heather, Your placement exam was wonderfully written, so you were exempt from English 101 and will earn 3 credits as a result of your testing. This is equivalent to a 4 or 5 on the AP English exam. I was dumbfounded. And I was dubious. How could I, a kid from a poor western Maine mill town, outpace all these other women who had been raised in intellectual privilege? On a whim, I signed up for the Literary Mirror, excuse me again, a 200-level course attended by junior and senior English majors. I felt seriously outclassed. You can imagine how dumbfounded I was, again, when the editor of the Wells Literary magazine asked me to join the editorial board. I wanted to stand on a table and shout, "But you have the wrong woman. Can't you tell I have no right being anything except mediocre?" I didn't alight any table, mostly because my parents raised me well and taught me the importance of taking compliments gracefully. Still feeling like a writing fraud, I agreed to join the Literary Journal's editorial board. Through reading the anonymous submissions, through talking about the works with critical eyes, through thinking about writing, I started realizing just how subpar my writing was. In other words, I confirmed my writing fraud status within my own mind and heart. I kept it to myself, though, out of intellectual shame and fear of being recognized as a sham. At Wells, I continued to do well with essay exams, with formal essays, with an exposition course I took, but I cannot say that at any point was I purposeful in my pre-writing. I cannot say that I was a proficient researcher. Perhaps most surprisingly, I cannot say that I had any awareness of the importance of organization and cohesion in writing. I knew when I had written a piece that hung together well, but I could not articulate what strategies I used to accomplish it. The random nature of writing success finding me continued throughout my 20s. My writing was recognized as being excellent in my first professional job at the U.S. Senate. My writing was recognized as being excellent when I worked at Duke Medical Center. Each time, I felt like standing on that same table shouting the exact same thing. I'm a writing fraud. My writing savior, the one who eventually taught me about structure and pre-writing strategies, is my best friend and husband, David. While working full-time at UMF's Computer Center, while also raising a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, I was taking classes toward my teaching certification in social studies. As I was loudly grumbling about an essay one weekend morning, David carefully walked into our den and asked if I wanted him to take a look at my writing. In the gentlest, kindest way, a look of shock came across my dear husband's face. He had discovered the haphazard nature of my writing. Yes, my diction was lovely, and yes, my grammar and mechanics were rock solid. Yes, I knew when and how to paragraph. He quickly and efficiently gave me the lesson I'd so yearned for, how to craft a cogent thesis and its supporting body paragraphs. I was able to exhale after decades of holding my writing breath, worried I'd be discovered as a writing fraud. 2 years later, my dream job of teaching English and German opened at our local high school. As the saying goes, if you want to learn something well, teach it. Suffice it to say that the thesis and body paragraphs lesson I learned that day in the den bolstered the free-form self-expression that had discovered me decades before. Now in my 10th year of teaching high school, I keep my writing lesson close by. I have never forgotten feeling like a writing fraud. It was terrifying. It was humiliating. It made me wonder if someone was playing a cruel joke on me. I don't want my students to feel that way, ever. I probably overteach the deliberate nature of pre-writing, as a result of the years and years of feeling so uncertain about organizing my thoughts. As I sit here in our lovely home, in front of a warm fire, listening to my family's voices mixed with the Mozart I'm streaming from YouTube to help with my writing process, I'm realizing that David gave my students and me a huge gift that day, just as Sally and Stuart did years before. I'll be sure to thank them all. Good night.